Hi, friends. Thank you for joining me again today. We are going to do a level one beginner class today. This is for some of you who maybe say, I can't do yoga because I'm not flexible enough, or I don't do yoga because I don't know all the poses. So, we're going to spend some quality time within the next 30 minutes to really learn the basic alignment, the fundamental alignment of the poses. And the alignment is not just for the sake of looking good for a photo or looking like your favorite yoga teacher, but it's really to allow you to recognize your habitual patterns of holding your body, holding your physique. And in that way, once you become aware of how your natural tendency is, then you can choose to change your habits. So it's the next 30 minutes. My goal is that by the end of this practice, you have a really solid understanding of how you're holding your alignment, how you're standing in certain poses. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to message me. I'll be happy to answer any of them. See you on your mat. Okay, welcome back. So, the basic of all poses is this right here, your seat. This is asana, means seat. So, finding a comfortable seat is very important to the fundamental of all the yoga poses. When you sit in your asana, in your seat, you can always put a block or a blanket underneath your hips. What that does is it lifts the hips up so that you can tilt the pelvis forward. You see, when I lean back this way, when the hips are lowering down to the earth and I round my back, my lungs are collapsing forward. What happens then is you can't really breathe into your lungs. You want to sit tall, and the intention of sitting tall is so that you can really allow the lungs to open up. With the lungs opened up, then the shoulders can get soft. And some of the things that I've noticed, and I used to do this myself, is the shoulders would be up here. So really limiting the movement in the top of the shoulders. So allow the shoulders to be soft. That allows the chest to lift up. You pull the belly in gently. The spine is nice and long. Another one that I used to personally do is my chin was always jutting up like this. That blocks the back of the neck so that your cervical spine is kinked. You want the cervical spine to be an extension of the full spine. As you sit tall, the back of the neck gets long. So bring your chin parallel to the floor. And then you can lift up through the crown of the head. I usually say, please lift up through the crown of the head, and I notice people doing this. So draw the chin in and down a little bit. That elongates the back of the spine. The crown of the head reaches up to the sky. Shoulders are soft. Your palms can be open or closed, whichever you prefer. And then you just close your eyes. And this right here, this fundamental seat, is so that you can really get grounded. You can begin to observe your breath. You can begin to observe your thoughts and emotions before moving to your other poses. So sit tall. Take a nice deep inhalation, nice long exhalation. And then I always suggest that before you change anything, before you go into the what's called an ujjayi breath, the victorious breath, or the powerful breath, is to really notice where your breath is at the moment. You begin to move from a place of awareness, moving from a place of observing your breath. So notice your breath first. Notice if you're inhaling long and deep, or your inhalations are shallow. There's no judgment in this whatsoever. You just want everything to be as it is in this moment. And then from that place of awareness, then you can begin to change. You can begin to deepen your breath and deepen your exhalation. And as a general practice, I always like to do what's called a samariti. It's same fluctuations. So your inhalations are exactly the same number as exhalations. You can establish that with either 4 in breaths and 4 exhales or out breaths, or whatever your natural breathing is. Maybe today you can do 6 inhalations, 6 exhalations. So choose whatever it is and then sit tall. So we're going to practice that for just one moment. Sit tall, back of the neck is long. Close your eyes, palms are resting on your thighs. And then notice your breath. And without any judgment whatsoever, just begin to put a count to your breath. So see if you're inhaling for 4 counts or for 6 counts. And whatever that number is, see if you can establish the same exhalation. So exhaling for 4 counts or 6 counts. Same number of inhalations as same number of exhalations. Inhale, 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 inhale for 4 counts. Exhale, exhale, exhale. And then notice if during this whole time period your chin started jutting up. If it did, draw the chin down and in towards your chest just a little bit, so just enough so that the back of the neck becomes long. Very nice. So now you can slowly open your eyes and just notice the difference in your body just by that very quick practice. And then for the next pose, we're just going to come up on all fours. And this is called the tabletop pose or all fours. This one, you want to make sure that the knees are directly under the hips, your wrists are directly under the elbows, directly under the shoulders. And we're going to move through some cat-cows. And with this movement too, see that as you're lifting your chest to the front, as you inhale to open the chest to the front, the tailbone goes up to the sky. And then as you begin to pull the belly in, begin to exhale, pulling the belly in, rounding the back, you tuck the chin and tuck the tailbone. So move through this with your own breath. Inhaling, lifting the chest up, the tailbone goes up, exhaling, pulling the belly in. Initiate the movement through the belly, and you tuck your chin and tuck your tailbone. And just notice that if your tendency is to lift the head up first, can you lift the chest up and allow the head to lift after the chest? So notice, if you just pause for a moment and notice the difference in what I'm saying. So if you lift the head up, this is what's going to happen first. You lift the head up, the shoulders are tight already. You can't go anywhere else. This is it. This is your limit. And then you exhale. Whereas if you lift the chest up first, this is the difference. Lifting the chest up, then the head follows, and look at the range of motion that I was already able to create just by making a teeny tiny little bit of a change. Okay? Very nice. So that was our cat-cow pose. And then the next fundamental pose is downward facing dog. For downward facing dog, you want your hands, your fingers to be spread out, your hands flat on your mat. You want your index finger to be pointing forward, and you want to be able to not have a crease in front of your wrist. Okay, so plant your hands and then tuck your toes under, and as you tuck your toes under, take your hips back and slowly begin to lift your hips straight up to the sky.
Now, for this one, I highly suggest that you bend your knees. As you bend your knees, for most of us, that becomes this pose becomes much more accessible because you're taking the hamstring out of the pose. If your knees are straight, then your tail gets tucked under. And then as the tail gets tucked under, you tend to come forward. And sustaining this pose is a lot harder, believe me, than the true downward facing dog. So bend the knees, lift the sitting bone straight up to the sky, pull the belly in so you can narrow the waist, and then as you do, let the head go. So this is another pose where I see people with the head up this way. Can you let the head go? And as you let the head go, you can open up so much more space in the neck and shoulders. Now begin to bring, as you're pressing down firmly through the base of all 10 fingers, begin to move your triceps away from each other as the forearms come towards each other. I'm going to say that one more time. Your triceps, the upper arms, spiral out, moving away from each other as the forearms spiral in. So you're creating that kind of a duality in the arms. See if you can establish that. Knees are bent, spiraling the triceps out, forearms come in. Shoulders soft, head is down so that the ears are in line with the biceps. Lifting the sitting bones up to the sky, pull the belly in, exhale, and then coming back on your knees. There you go. So let's get back to downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Same, remember your cues, pressing down firmly to the base of all 10 fingers, lifting the sitting bones up. The knees are bent, forearms coming towards each other as the triceps move away from each other, belly is pulled in as you're narrowing the waist, and then slowly begin to walk your feet to your hands. And as you walk your feet to your hands, this is another one that is really, really fundamental and very important. Bend the knees. So the typical pose is you see straight knees, the classical pose, but really straighten the knees puts a lot of pressure on your low back. So I like you to keep the knees bent, have your rib cage loose on top of the thigh. Your hands can rest right in front of your feet or right next to your feet. And from here, keeping everything tight together, then you can begin to straighten the knees as much as you want to. This is the safest approach for your low back. As you begin to straighten the knees, the minute you feel like the rib cage is moving away from the thighs, you just stay there. You don't go any farther. Just pause here and let the head go. This is called Uttanasana. And then again, notice if the head is lifted up. You want to let the head go so that the back of the neck becomes long. And then Ardha Uttanasana, halfway up, you begin to lift the chest up just a little bit. Your hands can come to the back of your hamstring. Your back is coming to a tabletop pose. The belly is pulled in. The spine is long. This is called Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhaling, fold forward. And then you begin to reach your fingertips all the way up to the sky, bringing your hands to your heart center, and you come into what's called Tadasana or mountain pose. Hands are in your heart center, shoulders are soft, the big toes are touching each other, or you can have your feet hip width apart, whichever works best for your structure. And then again, you soften your shoulders. You pull the belly in, and notice if you're leaning forward or leaning back, you want to find the bottom of both feet. So imagine that you have 4 corners on your feet and plant that down, okay? So Tadasana, mountain pose. Shoulders are soft, belly is pulled in, chest is lifted, back of the neck is long, crown of the head reaches up to the sky. You're not leaning one way or another, forward and back. You're just right there in the middle axis of your back. And then gently begin to lean your weight over to the left and draw the right knee towards your chest. So right here, again, this is a really good practice to find the bottom of your feet, those four corners. So as you plant your four corners down, you draw the right knee towards your chest. And if you did that correctly, you really find the balance right to your midline. Very nice. Take a nice deep inhalation, nice long exhalation, release that foot, and then switch sides. So shifting your weight over to the right, find the bottom of your right foot, and then draw the left knee towards your chest. And then release it all the way. Very nice. Now we're going to do one of my favorite poses, Vrikshasana, which is tree pose. So do the same thing where you're shifting your weight over to the left, find the bottom of your foot, lift your toes up, spread your toes away from each other, and then place your toes back down. And then bend the right knee, picking up the heel. So you can stay here, bringing the bottom of your foot to the left ankle. This is a great place to practice. Or you can bring the bottom of your foot to the inside of that shin. Or you can bring the bottom of the foot to the inside of the inseam of the left foot. Okay? Your hands can come to your heart, or you can reach your fingertips straight up to the sky. If you do that, have your arms be a little bit wider than the shoulders. This opens the entire shoulders area, so you're not lifting the shoulders up to the sky. Shoulders are down your back, and your arms are lifted in V. Victory, V for victory. Taking a nice deep inhalation, nice long exhalation. The belly is pulled in, the back is long, and then exhale, release, and come back to the side. Shifting your weight to the right, bend your left knee, picking up the heel. You can just bring the bottom of the foot to the inside ankle, or you can bring it to the shin, or you can lift that leg all the way up and place it on the inseam of the right leg. Your hands can come to the heart center, or you can begin to reach the arms all the way up in victory. V for victory. Lifting the chest up. If you like a little more challenge, you can lift the gaze up. You pause here for a few breaths. Nice and deep inhalations and long exhalations. And then you slowly bring your hands to the heart center and release them. Very nice. The other pose that I really like is called chair pose, Uttanasana. I recommend that the feet are hip width apart. Both toes and knees are pointing straight forward. You begin to sit back as if you actually have a chair behind you. So imagine there's a chair behind you and you're sitting back, just like this. Now, pulling the belly in, you can make the back longer so the tail goes towards the chair behind you. You can stay here. If you look down, your toes should be straight forward. Your knees are tracking right over toes, and you can actually see your toes. Okay? So the arms can come out to the side, and then you can just bend your elbows. The elbows are in the same line as the shoulders. Soften the shoulders. These are called cactus arms. You can stay here, or you can take your arms into V, just like you did in Vrikshasana. And as you do, you can lift the chest up. Now, again, notice if the chin is lifted up, if you're kinking the back of the neck. You can lift the head up, but allow it to come from the heart, from your chest. So notice the difference in these next two poses. I can either go like this, back of the neck is up, or I can bring the chin in, back of the neck is long, and then lift the chest up. Beautiful. Take a nice deep inhalation, nice long exhalation, and then coming all the way back to the side. One more pose that I'd like to really go thoroughly over is called Shalabhasana. And for that, you need to lie down on your belly. And as you lie down on your belly, you want to bring the top of your feet down. And imagine that you're bringing your ankles together. So it's easier to bring the heels together or your toes together, but I like you to think about bringing the ankles together. What that does is it spirals the thighs in. So as you do that, that elongates your low back. And then before we move into Shalabhasana, I'd like you to do a quick, just a crocodile pose, bringing your fingertips on top of another, and then bring the top of your, bring the forehead onto your stack finger. Now, as you stay here, I'd like you to think about pressing the top of your feet down onto the floor, pressing your hips onto the floor, and just resting your forehead. That helps you kind of establish the long spine. Now gently begin to bring your hands behind you so palms are down. Your forehead is down onto the floor. Rotate your shoulders back. You see that? Rotate the shoulders back. As you do that, you're bringing the bottom of your shoulder blades down your back together. Your palms are resting on the floor. With the inhalation, begin to lift the chest up. And then as you exhale, lower down. Now again, notice if you did that and the head came up first, can you lower the head down, let the head stay down, lift the chest up, and then you can lift the head up all you want. Notice the difference in this one. The first one is when I come up with the head. Again, I have nowhere to go. This is it. This is as far as I can go. And it really hurts the back of the neck. The second one is when the chest lifts up first. So inhale, lift the chest up, the back of the neck is long, and then you can continue lifting. As you're pressing the top of your feet down, you're pressing your hips down, you're pressing your hands down. Now stay here and then begin to lift your feet off the ground. Make your body get long as opposed to getting tied to the sky. See if you can really create length. Your toes are reaching back behind you as your chest is reaching in front of you. Then you can slowly begin to lift the arms off the ground. Again, notice if the shoulders come up, can you rotate the shoulders down your back? Your palms are down. Inhale, you can lift up as much as you want to. Lift up maybe a little bit higher, making your spine a little bit longer. Inhale, and then exhale. Lower everything. Very nice. Excellent. So those were the main poses that I really wanted to introduce them to you. They are all fundamental because it really focuses on the length of your spine. We started with Sukhasana, the seated meditation pose. We learned how to elongate the spine, soften the shoulders, notice the chest, and then from that place of awareness of how we're habitually holding our bodies, then we can choose to change and change it in the way that we want to. The second one was Adho Mukha Svanasana, the downward facing dog, the very fundamental, important positions to learn so that you're not putting too much pressure on the shoulders. We also did cat-cow that allows you to move the spine, learning whether we're lifting with the chin as opposed to moving the entire spine. We did Uttanasana and Ardha Uttanasana, the forward fold and halfway up.
We did Vrikchasana, which is tree pose. It really helps you learn how to ground down on one single leg. That helps you to not only build core, but the strength of each leg. And then the final pose was Shalabhasana. That helps you create strength in the entirety of your core. So please practice those. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions whatsoever, please message me. I love to hear from you. Namaste.